Today's video is going to be a tutorial on how to draw a lion's face, and if you want to see how to do this without guidelines, then this is the tutorial for you. In terms of the final image, going from top to bottom, first we need to make sure that the hairline of the lion is the shape of the top of a heart, or at least that's the shape that I notice when I look at lions. There's no need to do this exactly the same as me, but for reference sake, my eye gap was about 3.5 centimeters, and I drew this on an A5 sheet of paper. And the inner corners of these eyes should roughly line up with a third of the way in of the two lines on the outer edges of the nose. It might be difficult to see, but the lower part of the mouth is going to be built up of fur, so rather than drawing a line going straight across, I've decided to just draw little thin lines, very faint lines to mimic the fur. And right at the bottom you can see that I've drawn the lion's mane at the shape of an upside down triangle, in that both sides are angular going downwards. I've done this not because that's where the mane ends, but because there's going to be two layers to the mane. The top layer is going to be very noticeable, it's going to be lighter in colour, and the lower layer is going to be darker in colour because the lion picture that I relied on had two different colours on the mane. You don't have to do this, but it's what I've chosen to do. Moving on to the actual tutorial. I always start off with the nose, and you can see I've drawn what looks like a curvy line, almost like the top of a heart, or at least a subtle version of it. I then draw the two lines within the nostrils, and then I'll draw the rest of the nose around it. If you have trouble drawing the nose, you can draw an upside down triangle and then edit the shape of this triangle to form the nose, if that makes things easier. In terms of where you would place the eyes, on the nose you might notice that I've got two lines coming out on either side, the left and right side. If you were to measure into both of those sides about 2/3 of the way in, that's roughly where the inner corner of the eyes should line up on both sides. For the eyes, we're going to start off by drawing a curved line on the top, and then we're going to draw a curved line at the bottom. This should create a nice guideline so that we can edit it to create an actual lion's eye shape. In order to draw the second eye as accurately as possible to the first one, you can see that I'm continuously using the first eye as a guideline, and then I'm sort of dragging the pencil to the other side and marking down dots where particular points are aligned, and I'm going to connect those dots afterwards to try and mimic the first eye. There's no need to get things perfect the first time, because as you can see, I'm constantly going back and changing things that I just feel like should be edited. So the final step is to neaten up the lines. So we do this by rubbing out as much as we can to the point where the lines have become very faint, and then we go back over it with a nice crisper line. With this particular image, I am going to tone it in. I'm already in the process of doing that, and I am going to put up a tutorial for that as well. In my tonal image, the left side is going to be lighter because that's where I want the sunlight to come in, and the right side is going to be darker because that's where most of the shade is, and as a result of that, when I'm drawing in the line, the left side is going to be lighter than the right side. Again, you don't have to do this, but it's what I've chosen to do. Something that I forgot to mention, when you're doing the lion's mane, it's all about just putting random lines in, but what you want to make sure of is that the hair right at the top of his head is much shorter, and as it goes around the edge of his face, the hair gets longer and longer. In this shot, on the right hand side you can see the line that I drew for this tutorial, and on the left hand side you can see a line that I drew before as a practice one. The reason why I've put this up is because I want to show you that your line doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. You can make subtle differences to try and emphasize whatever emotion, for example, that you want to emphasize. So I'll give you an example. On the image on the left, my line looks a lot angrier, and that's because, one, the eye shape is a lot more narrow. So if you imagine when a human gets angry, their eyes sort of turn into slits, and that's what I've done with my line on the left. His eyes are much more narrow. The other thing I've done is I've added two lines on top of the eyes, and they just emphasize the creasing up of the forehead when you get mad. If you compare that to the line on the right, he doesn't look as mad, not as mad as the one on the left. So when you're drawing your image, you can make subtle changes like this. In this shot, the line on the left is another practice image that I did. You can see I'm in the process of shading that in, and you can also see that there are subtle differences between this line and the line on the right, which make all the difference. One of the major differences is the size of the eyes. The size of the eyes on the right hand side is much larger, and this gives a puppy dog effect, whereas my line on the left probably looks a little bit more fierce. So subtle differences that can make all of the difference. And finally, in this close-up shot, hopefully you can see that the left side of the lion's face is shaded a little bit lighter than the right hand side, and that's the reason why I decided to draw lighter lines. If they were dark lines, then you'd have this really weird outer line that just didn't go with the shading. So that's it from me. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up so that I can know you found it helpful. If you want me to do a tutorial on anything else, please leave a comment below and let me know. And if you want to make sure you catch my future videos, then please subscribe. And finally, if you want to see another one of my videos, then you can click on a link in the description, or you can click on a link available on the screen right now.